Well, just say hello to everybody just now. I'm Ed Perlman, and I run Fiddle-online.com and work with Dorothy and Margaret in these doing summer music and walking tours in different parts of Scotland. And this concert is based on musicians that were going to be performing this week for our travelers if there wasn't a pandemic. And so they very kindly agreed to come and play some of their music. You get a little taste of some of the music that they would have played for our groups. And these folks are all from the far northeast of Scotland. And Dorothy will be speaking a little bit between performers about some of the areas we'd go. So that'll be really nice. I'd like to quickly introduce the performers. I'll introduce them as they perform, but just to say a hello, a little spotlight hello to Gordon Gunn, who will be starting us off from hey Gordon from Wick, and we'll be hearing from Jennifer Wrigley, who's there she is, normally in Orkney, but away just now. We'll be playing with Lawrence Wilson on the keyboard. Then we'll be hearing Douglas Montgomery, also from Orkney. There he is, with a nice flag in the back, and a fiddle, and also, I'm afraid there's a banjo as well, but we can forgive that. No, just joking. And then we'll hear from Shetland, we'll hear from Maurice Henderson, with Ewan Thompson on guitar. We look forward to that. And going back to mainland Scotland and Aberdeenshire, we'll hear from Johnny Hardy. Oh, that's Charlie Buchanan. That's okay. We'll hear from Charlie as well. Hello, Charlie. And we'll also hear from Johnny Hardy, who is here, is he not? Oh, I guess he's not here yet. We'll see him when he gets here. So welcome to everybody. I would like to thank you for coming, and we are going to have a few comments from Dorothy. I'd like to introduce Dorothy and Margaret. And Dorothy will... Sterling just now.
That's it. Hey folks, hope you're all doing well, and welcome to a great evening. There's a great lineup of the musicians we would be hearing on our trip this week, but we'll hear them next year, and so this is a really good taster, so please enjoy it, and thanks to Ed for coordinating it all.
It's my pleasure. So we're going to start off with a few photos. I hope you can see that. Can you see that one?
Yeah, I can see it. Yep. So we head up on this trip. We head up to Caithness, and Gordon Gunn keeps going on about the grey coast, and it's not really like that at all. So if we could just switch on next to Ed. It's a great place, amazing people, huge amount of history there, and this is where Gordon lives, and his blue room is the very bottom one at the corner there, so we'll find out about that soon. And so technology has reached Caithness. Okay, thanks Ed. And unfortunately they do have this thing about no networking, so you just have to work on your own, that's it. The networking is to do with fishing. Gordon might explain it to folk when you're there. And we'll head on now. But the landscapes of Caithness are quite spectacular. And one of the walks we do is go out and have a look at Duncan's Bay Head. And these are the sea stacks from there. So sea stacks feature a lot in this trip because it's an island trip, a lot of it. And islands have lots of coastline. So we'll head on to hear some music, and Gordon will keep me straight in things. Okay, thanks Ed.
Thank you. So I'd just like to introduce Gordon Gunn. He's from Wick in the northern mainland of Scotland and in Caithness. He's a virtuoso traditional fiddler and a founding member of Session A9, which I believe Charlie McCarran is also a member of. And he travels a great deal as a performer and instructor, and in addition to solo albums, has played on over 50 albums as a session musician. So he's had a bit of practice. Please welcome Gordon Gunn.
Thank you, Ed and Dorothy, and delighted to be here tonight. Unfortunately, we're not in the room with you, but fingers crossed, next year, hopefully we'll all see you over in this part of the world. And yeah, I stay, as Dorothy said, I stay up in Caithness, which is the most northerly part of mainland UK. And it's a fairly sort of, well, you wouldn't say there's a lot of hills here. It's mainly kind of open, big skies is what is what it's well known for, and some beautiful countryside, but not a lot of hills, to be honest. But I'm going to play some tunes, and I'm going to start off with maybe a set of jigs, if that's okay. And the first one is, couldn't be further away, it's a Cape Breton jig, and it's called Steve-O's Jig, and it's written by a good friend of ours, Wendy McIsaac, a fantastic player, and a colleague, Murray Rankin, a few years back. So I'm going to give that a go. And then it's going to follow up with a jig called Jig of the Clanbeg, and it's written by a good friend of ours called Andy Thorburn, who's an amazing keyboard player from Eventon in Wester Ross there. And it's written to do with a play that was involved in Caithness a few years ago, and Clanbeg was one of the parts in the play. And then we're going to finish off with a pipe jig, one of my favourite pipe jigs, and it's called Kitchen Maid. So we'll give them a bash. See how we go. Excuse me. Oh, thank you very much. Virtual clubbing. Thank you so much. Going to do a wee slower. Now, I'll warn you now, this is depressing. One of my tunes, and it's a wee tune called The Birds Have Gone, and it was written to do with a series of poems with a great Caithness writer, a guy called George Gunn. And the poem was about how people were leaving some of the coastal areas, the wee islands off the north coast of Scotland. And the last line of the poem was, what was it again? I've forgotten. Memory's not as good as it used to be. That's locked in for you. There's nothing left, even the birds have gone. So this is a wee slower, and it's called The Birds Have Gone. 2 seconds here. Yes, the birds have gone. Nothing was left. Nobody was there. Not even a bird. Anyway, we're going to cheer things up. Something a bit more upbeat this time. This is a set of reels, and the first one is called Osmosis. And this is written by Donald Shaw from Capercaillie, a great wee tune. Can't quite remember how I learned it, but anyway, it's a great wee tune. And then we're going to follow it up with Alistair's Reel. And Alistair's Reel is written by great piper Fred Morrison. And if you've never heard of Fred, check him out on YouTube because he's just one of the amazing pipers around, and he's certainly worth catching up with and having a watch for him on YouTube because he does things with the bagpipes and small pipes that's just got to be heard and seen to be believed. So this is a tune he wrote for his brother called Alistair's Reel. And then the last tune in this set is called The Grey Coast Reel. Now, Dorothy mentioned the Grey Coast earlier on there. Sometimes, for some unknown reason, Caithness is known as the Grey Coast. Now, I can't understand it because it's full of sunshine, blue skies, palm trees most of the year through. But anyway, I wrote this tune for a friend of mine who used to have a wee theatre company called the Grey Coast Theatre Company. So anyway, we'll give them a bash. So here's Osmosis, Alistair's Reel, and the Grey Coast Reel. Hope you enjoy them. And they go something like... Thank you so much.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Gordon.
Cool.
Thanks very much, Gordon. Just a taster of some of Gordon's music. We're gonna invite Dorothy to tell us a little about um, some other places. The next place that we might visit. Let's see how that works.
After Caithness, we head off over the sea a little bit to Orkney, to the amazing island of Orkney, and this just shows the nice wind in the bog cotton, and it's quite incredible. The flowers, I think, on the islands rival those of the Hebrides for variety and colour. Thanks, Ed. But it's all quite inspiring. Anyway, Orkney is one of the incredible islands, or set of islands up north, and the history that's associated there is getting older and older by the day almost. These standing stones are 5,000 years old at least, and there's excavations and so on, like I said, that we head out to at Nessa Brodgar, where they're actually digging, and they have been digging each year for the last few years, and discovering things that are going back even older than that. So these huge structures were created before the pyramids. So rather than the center of ancient civilization being in Central Europe and the Mediterranean and so on, it sounds as though it might actually be in Orkney. But that's where lots of musicians come from as well. So we're going to head on, and thanks, Ed, and hear some fantastic music from Jennifer. And she has an incredible lightness of touch, and the music is very evocative. So I'll leave this with you, and we'll listen to the music instead, because that's more important than pictures. Thanks, Ed.
Jennifer Wrigley grew up in Orkney, and she toured the world with her twin sister Hazel, a guitarist, in a virtuosic and very fun-loving fiddle and guitar duo. They made 2 albums with the band Sealy Who and 7 albums of their own, I believe, and they created The Reel, which for over 15 years has been a central space in Orkney for music lessons and a community cafe and a bar, a music shop, a venue, an exhibition space. It's an amazing place right in the center of Kirkwall. Jennifer has been a composer as well. She's written and arranged over 200 tunes performed by great fiddlers and orchestras. Please welcome Jennifer Wrigley and Lawrence Wilson. Oh, I think you're muted.
Somewhere.
Let's see.
Hello.
There we go.
Hello. Hello. Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you, Dorothy, for the gorgeous photos as well. And wasn't it an amazing set from Gordy Gunn as well? So lovely to hear him playing. And of course, we're both from Orkney. This is Lawrence from Orkney as well. And we're going to play some tunes that we learnt when we were growing up. And if you go across the water from Caithness, it takes about, well, it depends how fast you go, but you can do it in about 40 minutes, or you can take the longer route, which takes an hour and a half from Gordon's house, and you get to Orkney. And I think they must have a faster internet connection in Caithness, because they definitely play faster than we do in Orkney. So we're going to start off with a little jig. It's called the Grahamsey jig. Orkney's made up of over 70 odd islands. And when you come into Orkney, if you took your boat from America just now, when you would arrive into Orkney through the Hoy Sound, you'll see a little island called Grahamsey, which you can see from Stromness and from Hoy. And the small island of Grahamsey has got 2 lighthouses on it. One is called Hoy High and the other is called Hoy Low, and you have to get them in perfect alignment on your rowing boat from the States, and get them in alignment, and you'll come in safely into the flow, into Scapa Flow. So this is the Grahamsey jig, and then we'll do a tune called the Twos, which was written by a big famous Orkney composer called Ronnie Aim, fiddle player. And then we'll do, Edwin Flaw's Wire, which is a tune written by Freelan Barber, who's a fantastic Scottish accordionist and has been up in Orkney lots of times and all over the northeast as well. He's very well known and liked. And Edwin Flaws was an accordionist, a button key accordionist from the island of Wire, which is a hugely musical island as well, but similar to Grahamsay in population. No, probably less than Grahamsay. Grahamsay's got what, 30 folk? 25 and a half. So here's the Grahamsay jig. 1, 2. So that'll be... Thank you very much. We can see you flapping. So Grahamsea obviously is a fantastic place, and Lawrence's family all come from Grahamsea, and so it's got a sort of personal connection. So we're going to play a slow tune now, and it's probably not quite as, what did Gordon say, depressing, but then maybe that's just, it's sort of a grey place, Caithness, and Orkney's just slightly cheerier for the depressing tunes. But this is a tune, it's one of our favourites, it's a slow one that comes from the northeast, I believe. Probably Shawnee would be able to say a bit more about it, but it's called Mrs. Chamison's Favourite. Thank you. That's a tune that I do with my real fiddlers. They meet on a Saturday, and we've been doing the lessons over Zoom since the lockdown and everything, and they're brilliant, great fun, lots of laughs, and that's one of their favourite tunes. So that's for them. And we're going to play one more set, and our last set starts off with a tune that I learned, or we both would have learned, from Davy Johnson, who is a fiddle player, fiddle maker, boat builder, poet, songwriter, artist. He, you name it, he did it, and a farmer as well. And he came from the parish of Durness, which is where I grew up, which is on the east side of Orkney, on the mainland. It's almost an island. And Davy was the most fantastic person to go and visit when you're growing up. He used to make fiddles in the shed, and when I was little I used to go and he would give me the chisel and the hammer and say, "Oh, just have a shot, lass." And I was terrified I was going to break this beautiful fiddle that he'd made. And from my house in Durness and from Davy's house, and probably from Gordy's house and from Douglas's house as well, but you can see lots of skerries and the lighthouses flashing in the distance. And from my house I could see 5 lighthouses that flashed at night. It's very therapeutic. You're going to sleep and you notice the lights flashing, and they've all got a different rhythm, if you like, so you know which one it is. And in the old days, of course, all these lighthouses were manned, and Davy wrote a tune for the lighthouse men called the Watchman's Polka. And of course, they were so amazingly brave. And you know, contrary to what Gordy said about the weather in Caithness, the weather in Orkney does sometimes get a bit coarse. And the idea that when you're sort of hunkering down in your house, that somebody would be out in the middle of the sea in a lighthouse, it's just beggars belief, really. So it's called the Watchman's Polka. And then we're going to do the Hattie Mannery. We're going to do the Hattie Mannery, which is like a sort of, well, might say it's like a clef stack on the island of Grahamsea, but it would be like a sort of Orkney clef stack as opposed to an American clef stack. It's kind of just modest in size. What height is the Hattie Mannery? 20 foot? And it's just a big, it's like a rock formation or a stack. It looks like a man with a bonnet on, and apparently it was a man that came over from Hoy. You have to watch them, they're the worst. Came over from Hoy to try and convert them all in their religion, so he turned to stone anyway, so don't mess with them in Grahamsea. That's the moral of the story. So it's called the Hattie Mannery, and it was written by Lawrence's father, Len Wilson. And then we're going to do Irene's Reel, which was written by Irene Flett, a lovely accordionist from Orkney. And then we're going to do the fairy dance on the end. And the fairy dance, I think, just exemplifies how all these tunes spread around the northeast of Scotland are really popular ones. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you very much for listening, and it's such a treat to be invited to take part. And I hope for some of you that were thinking to come next year that we will definitely see you next year, and that there won't be a catch. And I can't wait to hear everybody else in the concert as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer and Lawrence. That's amazing. Really appreciate it. Well, we're going to move on to another player from Orkney in a moment. We'll take a look at a few pictures first that Dorothy's going to tell us about. You can see that one.
Nope. Oh, yes, we have. Right. This is a shot of Skara Brae, which is a Stone Age village that was rediscovered when, after a storm, one of the slightly wetter days and windier days that they get in Orkney. Not many, but when it happens, it definitely happens. And it cleared the ground above and revealed this amazing sculpture, Stone Age village that was there thousands of years ago, and people lived there quite happily. And that's one of the places we tend to go and visit. Thanks, Ed. But Orkney is not just famous for its history and so on. The landscape and the wildlife are quite incredible. You go from small little things like this beautiful little flower, and thanks, Ed, to some of the most amazing puffins that you'll find anywhere in the world. And who wouldn't like to see a puffin? So I think we'll head on and hear some great music from Douglas, and he'll get our toes tapping again, I'm sure. Okay, thanks, Ed.
So we're going to hear from Douglas Montgomery. He's also born and bred in Orkney. He's been teaching for almost 30 years and touring the world with his duo Saltfish 40 and with the Orkney group The Chair. He specializes in traditional music from Orkney, but he also can be found performing blues and rock and classical as well. So please welcome Douglas Montgomery.
Hello, folks. It's lovely to be here playing for you tonight. I suppose it's be the afternoon with you guys. Anyway, the sun's just starting to go down here. It's a beautiful evening all the same. I'm going to take you on a wee musical tour across some of the islands, or some of my favourite islands. The first one we're going to go to is Rousey, which is one of the North Isles. And in Rousey there was a fantastic composer, fiddle player called Jim Craigie. He wrote some amazing tunes. I'm just going to start off with a tune that he's probably most famous for, and it's a style that's pretty recognisably Arcadian. It's a polka, and I'm going to start off with Maggie Watson's polka. Thank you very much. So, I'm going to take you across the water. We're going to head from Rousey and we're going to go into the big tune, the capital of Orkney. It's the tune of Kirkwall. And about 15 years ago, I had a young fiddle player student who wrote this amazing tune, and she wrote it about a really good pal of mine. The tune's called Billy Sleep, and it was written by Jennifer Austin. And Jen, she used to play piano. She's an amazing pianist, fiddler, artist. She's not a farmer though. She wrote this tune for her good friend Billy, Billy Chawley, who's also a famous singer from Kirkwall, who took a little leap across the willow burn and didn't quite make it. I'm then going to go into a tune by Ronnie Aim. Jennifer already mentioned him. Ronnie lived in the next parish to here. I'm in Bury, one of the South Islands, but Ronnie was from Ham, which is just about 4 miles north from here. And he wrote this tune in dedication to the composer Jim Craigie from Rousey. And it's called Ronnie M's Compliments to Jim Craigie, Death and Rousey. And then the last tune is another one by Ronnie M, and he wrote it for an island, the island of Guernsey, not Grahamsey, Guernsey. And it's kind of like it's almost a kind of national anthem here in Orkney. It's a great fiddle tune. All the young fiddlers play it. So I'm going to play this set for all my students over the past 150 years. This is a set, we put this set together after Jennifer wrote the tune Billy Sleep, and that was back in, I think it was 2006. So it's still been in the fiddle band at school. The fiddle band's called Hardergan, so I'd like to play it for everybody for there. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to take you to one of the South Islands now. I'm going to take you to my island. It's not my island really. I'll probably get assaulted doing the street mod for saying that. But this is the island of Burry. It's one of the South Islands, and it's connected to the mainland, the main island, by the Churchill barriers. So you've got a Ham on the mainland, then you head across the water, and you hit Burry. So I'm going to play you a tune I wrote almost 14 years ago now. I wrote it for my first daughter, my only daughter, when she was learning to walk, and she's 14 in 12 weeks' time. So I'm going to play this one for my family who's put up with me over lockdown. It's probably not been very easy for them. During lockdown, I wrote a tune for a very good colleague, Alison Aitken, who's retired recently. She was a teacher in the schools in Orkney for almost 40 years, and she had a party trick. And the party trick was, bearing in mind she teaches 5-year-old, 6-year-old kids. Her party trick was dancing on top of the tables. So she would do that if one of the kids got something right. So she was quite often dancing on top of the tables during the classes. So I'm going to play the Lily's March and Dancing on the Tables. I'll just say Alison. She comes from Dernis, but she has Burry roots. She's a budge from Burry. This is Lily's March, followed by Dancing on the Tables. very much. I'm going to play one more set of tunes for you. This set of tunes is kind of for a few different people. The first tune was written by my old fiddle teacher, Wally Sinclair, or we used to call him Bill O'Brayland. And he came from the farm of Brayland, hence the name Bill O'Brayland. And he was an amazing fiddle player. And he got taught by a guy called Budge O'Gammons. I'm not sure if he's the same Budges as Alison, but he could be. And Budge O'Gammons was cousins with my great-grandfather, and his two brothers, Robert Swanee, Danny Swanee, and Peter Swanee. And Peter made this fiddle that's up on the wall there. I thought I would hang it up there. I did the banjo there, but I thought I was going to get a bit of hassle about that. But that's the fiddle that Peter made. And the middle tune was written by a fiddle player from Dernis called Jim Johnston. So Jim Johnston was cousins with my great-grandfather, and they were cousins with the Budge O'Gammons as well. And the three of them were all farmers and all fiddle players as well. And they used to help each other with the harvest. So Dernis was maybe a good 45-minute boat journey for here before the Churchill barriers were built. And then it's only maybe a 15-20 minutes boat journey to Southronelsea for here. That was the island which Budge O'Gammons came. So when they came together, my granny used to tell me stories of them meeting and playing their fiddles every night, maybe take a week or so, maybe more, to do the harvest. And they would talk about the tunes, they would argue on how the tunes went, who was the best player. They were best of pals. So I'm going to play the tune by Wally Sinclair, Up the Braid of Gammons, which is about his fiddle lessons for Budge O'Gammons. Then I'm going to play the Orkney Hornpipe by Jim Johnston, and then I'm going to finish it off with a tune I wrote called the Howe Hornpipe. Thank you very much, Ed and team, for putting this together. It's super to be involved, and it's just a lovely lineup of fiddle players. It's been lovely so far, until it came to me, of course. I'm really looking forward to hear everybody else. All the best to you. We'll hopefully see you next year.
Thank you so much, Douglas. That was amazing. Thank you. That was
Thank
great.
you.
I had to step out for about 20 seconds because I caught a fly in my glass with a piece of paper and I had to throw him outside.
Live.
We're going to take a look at some more photos that Dorothy will tell us about, and then we'll move on to Shetland. So let's take a look at the moon over Shetland. You can see that one.
Coming. Well, I think it was on the boat, but anyway, we take the overnight ferry after usually an evening session at the Reel. We take the overnight ferry up to Shetland, and it's usually calm and serene like this. Sometimes it isn't, but anyway, like I said, Shetland is over the horizon, let's say, from Orkney, but it's probably a little bit wilder in some places. The scenery is maybe a bit wilder in many respects. There's great geology there and amazing sea stacks, and maybe Maurice will tell you about the waves coming up over the top of these things, but anyway, maybe not. Thanks, Ed. So lots of landscape and beautiful walks that we do there, but it's also one of the parts of the country that has great links with the Vikings. It belonged to the Danish crown for a period before we got it back. Although they claim to be half Vikings, and Maurice is definitely 3/4 Viking. We'll come to that as well. But they have this big tradition and called Up Hellia, and you just need to Google it and you'll discover all about it. And thanks, Ed. And as I say, the landscape is quite incredible. It's lots of land, but a huge amount of water. But I think just about wherever you are in Shetland, you see the sea. And the light that you get in the Northern Isles is quite spectacular, especially in the summer months. You have this incredible low light that you get in the long, long gloaming. But we'll turn over now to Maurice and Co for some great music and some stories. I don't know which is better, but I think the music. Go for it.
That's great. Well, Maurice Henderson's going to play fiddle with Ewan Thompson on guitar. Maurice grew up in Shetland. He lives there now, works there. It's a great part of the traditional music scene. He has a great passion, enthusiasm for the tunes and the folklore and stories behind the tunes. And he tells quite a few stories himself about trowies and such. He has, by the way, a beautifully illustrated book called In Search of Willowfjord that I put a link to on the concert page, where he tracked down the origin of this famous tune, Willowfjord, to some whalers in Greenland. Has lots of photos. And Maurice was a founding member of the band Fiddler's Bid, fantastic band, and he also plays with the five-piece band Halt to Dance. Ewan plays in that band as well as a fiddler, and he's going to play guitar today, but he's also a violin maker in Shetland, makes some really nice instruments. So please welcome Maurice and Ewan.
Hello. Great to be here and part of this concert tonight. This is our first online gig, is it? Yeah. So we'll kick off with some Shetland reels. These are 3 traditional tunes, and I'll tell you maybe a bit about the first one. Is called Hjogravilta, and that's a tune from the island of Fetlar, on one of the North Isles, but on the east coast of Shetland. And that's where a lot of my family come from, Fetlar. And the tune itself, it was played by a fiddler whose nickname was Hjogravilta, David Hart, great fiddler back in the 19th century, and he was a fisherman. And then we're going into another tune. We'll travel down the east coast. We'll have a tune for Whalsa with the playing of the late Gibby Hutchison, and that's called Had Die Tongue Bonnie Lass. And then we'll finish up with another tune, reel, called Up the Stroods the Sailor Goes. So, okay.
That's great. And Ewan, if you could bring the mic a little closer to the guitar, it would be great. Because we can hear you,
He's
but
kind of blit. He's kind of blit shy.
that's a shot.
That's good. Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
got 3 Shetland traditional reels. And in the Shetland fiddle tradition, the reel is by far the most popular tune. And if you go to sessions in Shetland, they'll play reels nearly all night. No problem at all. And those traditional ones that you would play for dancing a Shetland reel. And we have our own dance. They actually, in Orkney, they have an Orkney reel, which is quite similar, kind of related, but it's 3 couples, and then they would do a kind of figure of 8, and then the second half is a back step. And so you get the 2 short halves of the tune, the second half being for the back step. So you get variants around the islands, slightly different ways of dancing it, and also in the repertoire of tunes. Each island has its own characteristics, and a bit like everybody has a different accent depending on what island you come from. So you can, well, if you're a Shetlander, you would know if someone came from the island of Unst or from the South Mainland, or there's kind of accents all around. It's variants of the dialect. So the same way with the fiddle tunes. So we're going to play a set of, we're trying to think of what to play in 3 sets. We're going to do a couple of Fettler. I don't think they're traditional tunes, but they were popular for dancing in Fettler. And my neighbour up there, Joe Jimison, is a great fiddle player. In fact, I learnt the first tune there, Yogra Volta, from him, and it came down through his family, the Hearts. So we're going to play a couple of tunes which I don't know the names because I've asked about it, but nobody can mind the names of them. But somebody must maybe have heard them before. I always ask this, and if somebody's heard it before, they can get in touch, see if they know the name. But they're probably popular. Irvin Park was the fiddler that played the first thing, and he would have been playing the fiddle probably in the 20s and 30s, and maybe into the 40s in Fettler, so in the dances. So we'll play, and they could do a 1-step or a 2-step or something along with these ones. So good dance tunes. And the second tune, it is noted down in Peter Cook's book as the Fettler Foxtrot. And it was because he was asked, what in the tune is he in? And the fiddler asked, and the Fettlerine seemed to dance a foxtrot, so it got named that. And I asked Joe, I said, does the king this Fettler Foxtrot? And Joe says, no, I've never heard of that. So I got the book and I played a bit of the tune out of it. Oh yeah, that in. And then he just said it away. So it is the popular one from Fettler. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's that couple of Fettler dance tunes there, and that would probably, I don't know, probably do that for a Boston two-step or something, or one-step. But all fast there. But then we play along with Joe and Fettler, then it's fast playing. Starting to heat up here. So we're going to do a big set now of tunes. Going to finish up with this one, but we've got a tune from the island of Unst, and then a Papa Stewart tune, and an old Greenland whaling tune. So we've got in Shetland, saying about the reels, we also had tunes that they maybe play for weddings and kind of like wedding marches, ceremonial tunes. There's like tunes for the day dawns, a famous one for like when the sunrise. So we get these bits of music, Christmas Day in the morning, it's played at certain times of year, and different repertoire. And we have a tune here, it's supposed to be a spinning tune for the kind of rhythm of the spinning wheel, kind of down the roof, and the tune, this kind of way of playing it for, well, Ewan and his late grandfather, who was from Unst originally, but lived in Fair Isle for many years and was a lighthouse keeper there. I should get Ewan to tell this, he's sitting next to me here. But the spinning tune, I asked him, because Ewan's grandfather made spinning wheels, and he played the fiddle. So I said, if you tried this out, the rhythm with how does it work with the sound of the wheel or anything? Oh yeah, he says, it works splendid. And he just set the wheel going and the sound of the wheel and the rhythm, and then he played the fiddle along with it at the same time, quite effortless. And then I thought, yeah, it really does work with the spinning wheel. And then Tommy Anderson wrote it down. He said it was in 21/8, so it's a kind of a jig time. But it's a great tune. That's from the island of Unst, Down the Ruth. And then we'll go into a tune called the Papa Stewart Sword Dance from the island of Papa Stewart, which that lies off the west coast of Shetland. And that's a famous place for sea stacks, and the island is just riddled with long caves, and it's a fantastic island to visit and go walking. There's a long cave, one of the longest caves in Britain in there, the whole of Bordy. I've never been through there, but I know a fellow that's swum through there, and it's quite they should have had one of the special forces guy that's going to swim through it, but it came coarse weather. But a friend of mine, Ryan Leith, had been up the week before to try it out, and he'd swum through it the week before, so it can be done. So it's, anyway, that's Papa Stewart. The old sword dance dates back. The first written down or documented it back in the 1700 or so. So it's probably being danced on the island there before that. And Walter Scott, the famous author, he wrote about it in his book, The Pirate. Kind of made it famous, but it's still danced in Shetland. And George P.S. Peterson, he was a teacher, and he's from Papa Stewart, but a teacher in the Bray School, and he taught it to a lot of the youngsters there. And so there's loads of people that know it, and they still play the tune as well. And I have seen it danced by, speaking about Vikings there, Dorothy was saying, I've actually seen this danced by a squad of Vikings with full heavy swords, and it was amazing nobody was decapitated. And it was about 2 a.m, and I played it at probably about the speed as we're playing it now, not strictly as you would for the formal dance, but a bit wilder. And then we'll finish up the set with an old whaling tune called the Yaki Drogan, which is a wild tune. In the days of the Greenland whaling, the ships would sail up from up the east coast. They would come from Whitby and Hull, and maybe Dundee and Peterhead and Aberdeen, and they would sail up and stop in Lerwick, and then they would top up and pick up crew there, and there'd be literally hundreds of men who come from all around Shetland. They got that many. There were so many going to the whale, and they ended up having to put a quota on it. And they actually get to Orkney as well. They get into Stromness and there, and picked up a lot of men from there, and they get off to the west of Greenland, and sometimes trips to the north up to Svalbard or Spitsbergen. But aboard the ships, there was quite often a fiddler was in demand, and keep the entertainment going. And also when they got to the other said they got up to Greenland and they went ashore and they had plenty of wild dances and parties there. And this is one of those whaling tunes that was taken back, and it was kept going, the playing by the late Bobby Peterson, the Caliph, and he'd actually learnt it from his father who had been at the Greenland whaler. So here we go, this is for the last set. Starting with Down the Ruth. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morris. Thank you, Ewan.
Getting carried away there, not played in a while.
That's amazing. So we'll take a look at some more photos that where we might be walking, and we're gonna move now to away from Shetland.
Yep, we head back to the mainland and visit. We land in Aberdeen in the morning, and so we usually get out to Dunnottar Castle, which is just in the distance and the coast. And from there we head inland. Thanks, Ed. We head inland to explore North Aberdeenshire area generally. So there's lots of history associated with the area, and this is also the area of the Picts. And we occasionally get out to visit some of the standing stones that they have there. Thanks, Ed. And see some of the great walks. It's not coastal walking, but it's really nice area. And we're on to our next guest now, Johnny Hardy, and we spend the last night of the trip with him and his wife and the family there in an amazing location. And we have some wonderful tunes and some wonderful food and usually a great fiddle evening. As you can see, everybody's smiling, and this wasn't a forced thing. Okay, thanks, Ed. But we'll go on to the music. That's important.
Yeah, he has an amazing historic house. And with that, in fact, we're going to hear Johnny Hardy just now. He's a founding member of the Aberdeenshire band Old Blind Dogs, who's been for about 30 years, I guess, around and brought Aberdeenshire music around the world. They have made more than a dozen albums, so well worth hearing if you haven't. He plays fiddle, guitar, sings, composes, has produced, and has been a musical director of a theater company. So please welcome Johnny Hardy.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Ed. Just delighted to be part of this. It's been such a strange time for us all. So actually having something to focus towards and think about, which is, it's almost a gig, let's face it. It's like a house concert, but you've all come to my house. So anyway, it's been great fun working for this and thinking about what's relevant tunes to play. I'd like to play, there's a great, for those of you who don't know, there's a great history of fiddle music from Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, some great composers. So I'm going to play a couple of old tunes, but I've also been writing quite a lot, as I'm sure a lot of the other musicians have as well, because we've all just been at home. So it's been an interesting time for getting creative and feeling the inspiration to write about stuff. So yeah, I'll play a couple of things, maybe see what you think of that. But I'm going to start off with a March to Spey and Reel. They're not particularly connected. The first tune's a great 2/4 pipe march called John McCall's March to Kilbowie Cottage. And then I'm going to play a very old Strathspey called The Fisher's Rant. And I first heard this tune recorded by a band called Altan. And I'm sure those of you who are old enough to know and remember Altan will know that they're not a Scottish band. They're from Donegal. And I first heard this tune recorded by them. But of course, it's one of these tunes that went back and forward. They used to, in Donegal, they call these tunes Highlands, what we would call a Strathspey. But it's exactly the same tune. And the reason I'm fairly convinced it is actually a Scottish tune is I found it in the Sky collection, which is a very old collection of Scottish music. So anyway, it's a well-travelled tune. And I'll finish off the set with a wee tune of my own that I wrote just the other day and see what you think of that. It's called, I think it's going to be called the Loch Arthur Reel. Just like to say, for those of you can't see, but just over here, Kim, my wife, is just sitting over here just to make me feel a little bit nervous. She's doing a little bit of free dancing, California style dancing in the corner there.
Johnny, if I could ask you, if you don't mind turning off that light behind you, it's
sure. This one here.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can't get the staff these days. You know, it's how's that?
That's great.
Is that better? Okay, so this is John McCall's March to Kilbowie Cottage. Something like that. Slange, everybody, by the way. Here's to you all, wherever you are. I'm going to play a tune now, which I've never played before in public anyway. It's quite an interesting tune, I think. It was written by a fiddle player from Aberdeen. His name was James Davy, and James Davy was born around about 1790, I think. And he's one of the lesser known composers from Aberdeen. I don't know much about his other work. I'm certainly going to find out more because it's a beautiful tune. The tune is called The Loch of Skene. Sorry, it's not called The Loch of Skene. It's called The House of Skene. And Skene is the area. There is a big loch there, and it's when you head west from Aberdeen. If you're heading out Donside towards me, you go through Skene, just on the outskirts of Aberdeen. So the tune is called The House of Skene. I'm going to try that for you now. I learned this tune because one of my students at the music school in Aberdeen, we came across it in a book and he just loved it. He thought this was a great tune. So sometimes it's great having students just to keep you on your toes. And so because of Andrew Legg, I had to go and learn this to keep up with him. So thanks, Andrew. Something like that, anyway. Yeah, it's a fun tune. I'm so looking forward to getting out and doing some gigs again and just playing some tunes with my pals. Just to hear how different people I know would go about accompanying a tune like that. It's going to be fun, but we'll get there in the end. Anyway, yeah, really looking forward to next year having the trip coming through here again and another night of great music. We've got as Dorothy was just touching on there, there's an amazing history in this part of the world. We've got stone circles, there's a couple of great castles locally, and there's all sorts of interesting things to see, and there's some great music around as well. But anyway, I will leave you now. I'm going to play a couple of tunes. I'm going to play another one of my own things that I've been working on. This is just a wee lockdown tune. I don't really know what it is. It's called As You Were. And I'm going to play that, and then I'm going to finish off with a quite sort of relaxed wee reel called the Pearl Wedding Reel. This is a traditional tune from the Borders. I learned this tune from Rory Campbell, my ex-colleague in Old Blind Dogs, great piper and great whistle player. This is a tune that he used to play on the whistle, and I really enjoyed, so I pinched this one off him. So we'll leave you with these two. Thank you very much, folks. Great to see you all.
That's great, Johnny. Thank you very much for doing that. Beautiful tunes. I hope people are hearing. One nice thing about these trips is you not only see amazing changes in landscape from one place to another, but changes in the culture. And as you can hear, the fiddle styles in different places are different. So it's fascinating to listen to. Dorothy's gonna take us through a few other pictures here. Starting with
Okay.
this one.
We occasionally get to catch up with the Aberlour Highland Games, and they all look as though they're really enjoying themselves, although, I don't know, I suppose if you're serious as a piper, you have to look like that. But it's great fun to see the kids playing, and just the whole Highland Games scene for folk, and a great release from maybe travelling and so on. Anyway, great music there. Thanks, Ed. And I suppose one of the things that you miss in Shetland is the barley fields and things like that you see on the mainland. And Aberdeenshire's full of lots of distilleries, Aberdeen and Murray, and this is where it all comes from. Barley waves so fast that the whiskey is produced straight from the barley into the bottle. They don't have to do anything else. Thanks, Ed. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on here. We'll go and hear some music. Our final guest tonight is Charlie McCarran, and this is just to say Scotland sometimes looks like this. Sometimes it's grey, but sometimes you get wonderful scenery like this as well. So our last guest we're going to hear, and thanks to everybody for joining in and taking part, and great thanks to all the musicians, absolutely wonderful, and I'm sure you'll all agree. So over to Charlie.
Charlie McCarran, he grew up in Morrisshire, which is west of Aberdeenshire. It's, I suppose you could say it's halfway between Aberdeen and Inverness on the coast, north coast there. Great fiddler, William Marshall, spent years there. In his early years, Charlie won many traditional Scottish fiddling competitions and went on to become a virtuoso, innovative musician and an integral member of the great band Capercaillie, which has toured the world. And it's just so popular. It's sold over 1 million albums around the world. He's also a member of Session A9, which is the band that Gordon Gunn is in as well. So it brings us full circle. So welcome, Charlie McCarran. Oh, wait.
Is that okay?
There we go.
Hi everyone, sorry about that. And just the same as all the other guys, it's brilliant to be involved in this project, and I've heard some fantastic music tonight. And it's great, isn't it? Live music, you can't beat it. Well, looking forward to getting back to doing some playing with other people. And that's one of the main reasons I play music, is actually to play with other people, rather than just sitting, as Gordon says, scraping away on your own. But my own history, I originally came from a fishing village called Hopeman in Morrisshire, which is just along the coast from Findhorn, where you heard our great friend Douglas Lawrence, Dougie Lawrence, is based quite a lot now, and the whole history of my region is the River Spey. We're talking about Spays, and the river starts in Lagan and flows through Aberlour. You saw a picture there, right up the way, and it comes out in Spey Bay. And a lot of the northeast music is based round the river, you know. And I think the Spey is a very important part of my musical background, and I love the rhythms and the Scottish snap. You tend to, as a Northeast player, put that into a lot of your other types of compositions, you know. My history again, my father played the fiddle and had a great uncle, Tom McCarran. My father was Keith McCarran, and I play a lot of the tunes that they would have played in the house, and I gradually learned them, you know, like playing along with them, and they were fantastic influences on me. And my great uncle used to be the distillery manager of Ben Romach in Forres, so I come from good stock. So we certainly like whiskey in the McCarran clan, and so I'm going to play off a few jigs to start, just to get warmed up. And the first one is called O'Sullivan's March, which is a very unusual name for a jig. And then I'm going to go into the Cairngorm Mountain, which is where I live now. I live on the other side of Johnny. He's in Strathdawn on the east side of the Cairngorms. I'm on the west side of the Cairngorms now, living just outside Kincraig, and not far from the River Spey, once again. So this is Cairngorm Mountain, is the second tune. And finally, I was reminded by Ed. He sent me a video of me playing about 23 years ago in Boston, I think, at Fiddler's Rally. And this was a tune I played with Laura. She danced. And this is called Davy Scott's. So I'll stop talking and try and play. Okay, took. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to get stuck into a a slow air now, a beautiful tune, which I love. I love playing it with Johnny. Johnny plays it on guitar with me, and we're going to play a tune called Cluny Castle of Inverness Shire. And then I'm going to go into a brilliant suspect. I'll play a few suspects tonight. A brilliant suspect, and it's called Earl Grey. Then into a favourite tune of my great uncle, the Marquis of Tullibardine. And then I'm going to finish off with one of my own tunes, which is called the Bancroft Crofters. So here we go. much. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. So I'm going to finish off with a tune I wrote for my son, and it's called Fiends, and he's in his 20s now, so he's not so wee. But I'm going to play that and go into a couple of strathspeys to finish off the whole thing. And these are, once again, favourite tunes of my great uncle and father's session. And it's Highland Whiskey and Stirling Castle. So thank you very much to Ed and the team, and to all these wonderful musicians that you've heard tonight. And I look forward to meeting some of you again. Hopefully we'll get over to Johnny's for a bit of crack. That's where I was supposed to be tonight. And that's a great place to go and hang out and get a dram. And I'll follow Johnny's call. And here's a fabulous health to you all. Stay safe. And we'll see you all soon, I hope. All the best.
you, Charlie. That's amazing. Thank you.
It's been a great night.
Thanks for joining us. And I just want to thank all of the musicians. I want to give everybody a chance in a moment to I just want to, yeah, I want to give you a chance in a moment to unmute and actually give a round of applause to everybody. Let's just say thanks again to Gordon Gunn. There he is. And to Jennifer Wrigley, Douglas Montgomery. I think you're still there, yeah? To Morris Henderson and Ewan Thompson. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Yeah, and Johnny Hardy.
Yeah.
Kim, hi Kim. And Charlie McCarran, we just saw. And thanks again, Charlie, for playing. Cheers, Slanja. And also, I want to thank Dorothy and Margaret for making all of this possible. Thank you. And now, if you like, please unmute yourselves and give these folks a round of applause that they really I also just want to thank Neil Perlman, my son, for making some of the technical stuff really possible. Thank you, Neil. Much appreciated.
Yay, Neil.
And we'll see you all later. Thank you for coming, and we really appreciate being here. This is I counted, this is the 26th online concert, Fiddle-online, I've sponsored through Fiddle-online since the pandemic began. This is the last planned one. So thank you all for being here and for such amazing fiddling. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Ed.